Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. Good morning. Good Monday morning. Just another manic Monday. Wish it was Sunday. That's my fun day. The I don't have to run day. It's just another manic Monday. Thank you for tuning in. Also, thank you if you have been watching on the replay. First of all, let me thank all of the new people that have subscribed to my channel. I appreciate the support. This morning, we are going to take a deep dive into another natal chart analysis. This time, we're going to be discussing Andra, and I don't know what her last name is. Bullhorn Betty. We're going to be taking a look at what makes her behave the way she does from an astrological standpoint. If you guys are not familiar with what a natal chart is, let me inform you very briefly. Your natal chart, everyone has a natal chart. So a natal chart in astrology shows the position of the planets and the signs the planets were in at the time of one's birth. These planets, they don't fully dictate how you react, but they more give a blueprint to your personality. So for example, let me pull up Bullhorn Betty in her natal chart so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So she's a sun in Virgo. Sun in Virgo. We all know our sun sign, right? You're a Virgo, I'm a Leo, you're a Cancer, she's a Gemini, he's a Libra. We're more than just our sun sign in astrology. We also have our moon, the Mercury, the Venus, the Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, along with North Node or True Node and Black Moon Lilith. So what you're looking at on the screen right here is the placements for Bullhorn Betty. We're going to be breaking down what each one of these mean. So stick tight. It's probably going to be a lengthy live. Grab your coffee, people. Get comfortable. Okay. And let's get started with the show. Alrighty. So let's start with the sun in the sign of Virgo. We all know the typical stereotypes of being a Virgo: neat, organized, OCD, nitpicky. What, but when it pertains to Bullhorn Betty, what does this mean for her? The sun is in Virgo. It is rare to find a stereotypical nitpicky, exacting, clean freak in modern day Virgos. It's rare to find the stereotypical nitpicky, exacting, clean freak in modern day Virgos. The thing about each one of the zodiac signs is that each one is associated with stereotypes. And Virgo's stereotype, what it says right here, is nitpicky, exacting, clean freak. The majority of Virgos I've met, not all, but the ones that I've met, have been the exact opposite, it seems like, of these things. Now, keep in mind, I'm a Virgo moon, so I know what I'm talking about. It's in my natal chart. I have Virgo in my chart. Although the sign of Virgo has evolved with the times, some unmistakably traits remain. Virgo people are genuinely respectable, hardworking individuals who have a love of knowledge and how to. Virgo's symbol is the Virgin, shows itself in the lives of Virgos through love of all that is natural, and certainty and certain purity of spirit keeps Virgos self-significant and self-contained, at least on the surface. So kind of like Capricorn. In the last natal chart analysis we were doing on JLR, we were talking about him being a Capricorn. Virgo is also part of the earth element. Remember, there's 3 signs in the earth element: Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. All of those signs share a trait of being grounded, earthly, practical, even though it may not seem like it's practical to you. To Virgo, because we're talking about Virgo, it makes sense, right? Many Virgo suns are uncomfortable in the limelight unless they have some other placements that are affecting their chart or some other aspects. These types are just fine living in the background as long as they feel useful and appreciated. Solar Virgos, or people with Sun in Virgo, have a strong sense of responsibility, even when they've convinced themselves to be irresponsible about something or the other. They worry about it. Virgos are constantly worrying. There's a lot going on within the mind of Virgos. Whether they tell you or not, they're always thinking about something. I like to compare the sign of Virgo not only as an earth sign, but they're also half air. And I'm going to tell you why. Virgo, like what we just read, is a lot of mental energy. So they're thinking all the time, even though they may not say it, they're constantly thinking. Very similar to Gemini, because Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury. Mercury, as we covered in past live streams, rules over communication, intellect, the mind, your thought processes. I hope I'm saying that right. It's still early in the morning. I'm having my coffee. I'm getting woke up. And no, I'm not having 2 shots of espresso today. Just regular old coffee. Virgos, like we said before, convince themselves to do a less than perfect job will genuinely feel incompleted. So have you ever met a Virgo that is a perfectionist? They feel like, keyword they, to everybody else, They may not notice the minute details or the minute flaws within something, but leave it to a Virgo, especially a Virgo moon, to point out the flaws, the problems, whatever issues they see with anything in their lives. There's an odd combination of intellect and the practical in Virgo, and that's sometimes mistaken for coolness. In fact, Virgos are self-emancing and shy. They brush off your compliment quickly and sometimes critically, but don't let that fool you. Yeah, don't let that fool you. Okay? Don't let that fool you. Virgo, whether you guys want to admit it or not, you have an ego. Keep in mind, you are a reaction to Leo, which is the king of ego. Leos are the king of ego, narcissistic ego or healthy ego. Virgo comes after Leo, right? Which means they're a reaction to that sign. Hold on for 1 second. My neighbor's calling me. I need to go see what she wants. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's move on to the moon. Now, a lot of you, I know what you're thinking. Bandit, this does not sound like Bullhorn Betty at all, right? This does not sound like her at all. She's not practical. She's not detail oriented. She knows she's imperfect. She makes a lot of mistakes. She doesn't give a fuck. She's out there in the open. She's not your typical type of Virgo, even though you may see Virgo pop up in her chart a lot. Right here, it appears that the Sun, Mercury, Saturn, Black Moon Lilith, and the North Node is all in Virgo. Automatically looking at Bullhorn's chart, there's lessons surrounding ego, but also health. The first thing that I look at when looking at any natal chart is the Saturn placement. Saturn, we covered this before in JLR's chart, Jonathan Lee Ritchie's. Saturn rules over karma. It is the law of the universe. What you put out is what you will receive, whether it be good or bad. Saturn also brings lessons, and it's also making another interesting aspect is that it's conjuncting her Mercury. So there's lessons, a lot of lessons surrounding the things that she may say, how she communicates with people, how her points come across with people. She has to watch that. Let's move on to the moon in Leo. Circling right back around to the point I was making before. A lot of you are going to be like, she's not a Virgo. This is not her. This does not sound like her at all. Well, that's because she has a moon in Leo. So what does moon in Leo mean? What does that mean, Bandit? Well, let's find out. The moon. The moon in astrology represents the emotional responses, unconscious predestination, and the self-image. The moon is your most private self. It is your private world. It's your unfiltered, uncensored true soul. Whenever you're sitting at home by yourself, without YouTube, without sitting in front of the camera on YouTube, when you're just by yourself, chilling in your place, this is when your moon sign comes out. The moon is a very personal planet in astrology. It is the private self. The moon also represents your emotions, and the moon sign shows how a person expresses themselves at home, at ease, or when they're comfortable. So basically within a relaxed state. The moon sign, you'll see. So just say that you came across Bullhorn Betty on the street. Oh God. You're not going to see this side to her. She may express it through her sun, because the sun is the identity. It's what we identify as. You don't have to try to be your sun sign. You just are your sun sign. Your moon, on the other hand, is going to appear when people get to know you on a more personal level. Got it? Get it? Good. So what does the moon in Leo mean? This is a warm, creative, and proud position of the moon. Moon and Leo people want to create and entertain. Moon and Leo people want to create and entertain. They love deeply and largely. They can be rather lazy at times and a little too bossy too. Generally, though, they have a deep need to treat others fairly and justly. Lunar Leos require a lot of love and care in order to function well in the world. Depending on other positions in the chart, Moon and Leo people aren't always outgoing. In this instance of Bullhorn Betty, we see that that's not the case. Again, it's going to differ from every person, because we're not all the same. Even though if you share the same moon placement, the same moon placement, the same sun placement, the same Mercury placement with somebody, depending on other placements that this person has, it's going to differ, and their personality is going to be completely different than yours. That's why astrology can tell you a lot about your personality, perhaps things you didn't even know about yourself. Moon and Leo people enjoy being in the spotlight, and they're comfortable in their own homes with family and friends. They love entertaining others and often take on the role of a comedic or storyteller. Lunar Leos often feel the need to organize and even control their family and friends. They have an inner mission to set things right and like to oversee the going on in the circles, so they would make good managers. Lunar Leos make excellent managers. When they feel slighted, these people can be dramatic. Okay, here we go. Not your typical Virgo. A lot of people's wondering, what makes Bullhorn Betty? Why does she overreact? Why does she act belligerent online? When they feel slighted, these people can be dramatic in their emotional displays. When their pride has been hurt, they are given to big scenes and sulking, feeling sorry for themselves, pulling the sympathy card, the typical narcissistic traits that is associated with Leo. Again, I'm a Leo sun sign, so I know all about this. This rarely happens in public. However, lunar Leos are far too concerned about their image to make splashy scenes outside of the comfort of their own home. In public, they prefer to take things in a defined way. At home, however, big displays of emotional drama aren't uncommon. At home, however, big displays of emotional drama aren't uncommon. So it happens a lot. Again, they feel the most comfortable when they're at their home. To a lunar Leo, their home, their house, their dwellings is like their castle, right? They're the king of the throne. So, of course, they're going to rule it the way they choose to. And it's going to be completely different than what you would get out of them in public. These scenes only last a little while. However, lunar Leos often personally popular folk who are valued for their integrity and strong sense of justice. It is easy to reason with a lunar Leo. Appealing to their well-developed sense of fairness usually works well. So a tendency with lunar Leos, kind of like with Libra, they don't like injustice, and they can tell when it's been done to another person or whatever it is. They don't like when people are treated unfairly, especially their friends and family, or whoever they consider to be their friends and family. The short description is that lunar Leos is brave, knowing how to take risk and possessing the courage of her convictions. Bullhorn Betty. Honest, imposing, and sharp. She has a great sense of and respect for justice. Expressive, seeking adoration, organizational sense, selectivity with friends, but overly influenced by them. One thing that lunar Leos have to watch out for, and you may see this with Bullhorn, going along with the crowd, saying what's popular, just in order to keep the public in favor of them. Even though they may not truly feel that way, they're going to let on and act like they do, just so you like them. Lunar Leos, here's another thing about lunar Leos. Lunar Leos are one of the moon signs that have to be extremely careful. To narcissism, to psychic attacks, because lunar Leos are psychic. I know that Leo is not a sign that you would think of as being psychic, but Leos are very psychic. They have that instinctual feline instinct. Like, they know when something's wrong. They know when there's a shift. And because they're so sensitive, that makes them susceptible to people who want to take advantage of them, that wants to exploit them. And it's quite easy to do so, especially when you're playing with their ego. Ego is a kryptonite for Leo in general, not just lunar Leos, but Leo suns, Leo moons, Leo Mercuries, Leo Saturns. If you have Leo in your chart, there's lessons surrounding ego. So Bullhorn Betty, this is one of the things that causes her to behave the way she does online, make dramatic expressions of retaliation when she is slighted by people. She must feel like she is in power, right? I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Virgo, going back to Virgo, good segue because we're about to lead into the Mercury sign, which is also in Virgo. Virgo is a control freak. Yes, you are. Virgos can be extremely controlling. They have to control everything So when you combine that with the sign of Leo, which is a driven, motivated sign, then that's a recipe for a tyrant. Let's move on to the Mercury sign. Get this off the screen so you can see it. So Mercury in astrology represents communication and logical spirit. It's the mind. It's our thought processes. It's how you talk. Mercury rules over how you communicate, how you come across to other people in astrology. Mercury is in the sign of Virgo, so her Mercury is exalted. What does an exaltation mean? That simply means that a planet likes to be in a certain sign. Now, mind you, Mercury rules over Virgo and Gemini. So both Virgo and Gemini are ruled by the planet Mercury. Virgo rules over the negative side of Mercury. Gemini rules over the positive side of Mercury. Got it? Get it? Good. So what does Mercury in Virgo mean? She likes to discuss, deduce, and judge. Oh, Virgo Mercuries love to judge. They are the first one to cast a stone. I also share this placement. My Mercury is in Virgo. She reasons logically and accurately. Bullhorn Betty may spend a lot of time on practical matters, keeping things in order, sometimes nitpicky and nervous, secretly feeling like he handles matters behind better than others. So, to Bullhorn, she thinks that the way she handles issues is better than others, how they would handle them. It's also interesting because her Mercury is conjunct her Venus, and the Venus is in Libra. This means that she looks on the bright side of life. She is gay, and by gay I mean happy, agreeable, optimistic, and sociable. She agrees with speaking and writing, and she does both with charm and artistry. Her intellectual pleasures are very much influenced by her feelings. So, in other words, she thinks for her feelings. She thinks with her feelings, whatever she feels is right to her. There's a Venus conjunction between Mercury. That's what's causing this. She is sensual. She likes beauty, the arts, traveling, frequent changes of scenery, aims always for diplomacy, and very charming. Now, some are going to say, what the fuck do you mean she's always aiming to be diplomatic? No, she's not. She's not diplomatic at all. Again, it's a case-by-case scenario, people. It's not going to apply to every single person, again, but it gives you a better understanding. If a few of these points, what I'm telling you right now, sounds like they resonate with Bullhorn, they do. This is written in the stars. This was written in the stars at the time of her birth. She can't change this. She can change how she these traits within herself, but she can't change the cards that she's been dealt. There's also a sextile between Mercury and Mars. That simply means that the planets operate in a harmonious function. She likes to discuss, get in debates. She has a good judgment and can be very determined. She is a worker and has lots of energy. She has a lively intelligence and usually goes to the heart of things. She is enthusiastic, incisive, and energetic in thought and speech. There's also a conjunction going on between Mercury and Saturn. What did I say before? With Bullhorn sharing the same sign. There's a mosquito that's on my back. It keeps on wanting to bite me. That's why I keep on scratching. So Saturn and Mercury are in the same sign of Virgo. What does this mean? He is precise or strives to be mentally organized. She is precise. I don't know if I said he or she, but this thing generated he. She is able to study, concrete, and focus, and often has the patience to work together towards a goal, slowly but surely. So she is patient. She likes to take her time with doing things because, again, she wants it to be done right. She may take time to get communications just so, and prefers the step-by-step communications, respects tradition and value, preferring a sense of order. There's a battle here going on between order and what she thinks is organized. Actual order and what she thinks is organized. This is what happens when you have a lot of Virgo in your chart. It creates nervousness, anxiousness, jittery, jumpy. Like, it just creates a lot of mental unrest if you have a lot of Virgo energy in your chart. She has a lot going on with her Mercury. Maybe that's why she's bad at communication skills. And it's not like how she speaks. It's not what she's saying. It's how she's coming across with doing so. And also, we haven't even got into the things that she's done. Doxing people, revealing people's personal information, going on these 5-day binges of live streams, constantly talking about other creators because she doesn't want to be talked about, but she's feeding into what they're saying. So that's just going to cause them to do it more. But she's too stupid to realize that. Let's get on to Venus. What does Venus mean, guys, in the world of astrology? What does the planet Venus mean? Venus in astrology represents the interest in emotions and values, exchange and sharing with others. So surprisingly, Venus is in its home sign of Libra. Venus is ruled by Libra, or Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. So Venus, the good side of Venus, is ruled by Libra. Venus is also co-ruled by Taurus, which means Taurus is a feminine sign. It rules over the negative part of Venus. So, simply put it, Venus is exalted in Libra. Venus in Libra people will express to you with their kindness, their endeavors, and willingness to make the relationship work. They have a polished manner and love, which sometimes make them appear insincere or superficial. They are gentle lovers who hate to be offended. They are threatened by bad manners and direct or abrasive expression of feelings. So they don't like they're not good with confrontation. They can't handle confrontation. They not only prefer to choose the middle road, they also seek the middle ground in their relationships. You can expect to be treated fairly, and you may be turned on by Venus and Libra's willingness to concede and adjust their lives to fully accommodate you. Venus and Libra people have a tendency to be selfless. Any Libra placements within your chart, one thing that Libra has to watch out for is being selfless, because they're always looking out for other people. And again, that's where the scales come in, because okay, I have to watch out for other people, but then again, I have to watch out for myself too. I have to keep it balanced. I have to put myself before other people. That's how I view it. As long as I'm taken care of, I can take care of you, but I have to make sure I'm taken care of first. Because if I'm not taken care of, your ass is not going to be taken care of. Venus and Libra natives tend to idealize images of their relationships. So they try to idealize the perfect relationship, them being in a perfect relationship. But once they're met with the reality of being in that relationship, it's completely contrarian to what they expected. You know, again, idealization, idealizing others, putting others up on pedestals. That's another thing they need to look out for. So they tend to idealize images of their relationships, even to the point where the relationship becomes bigger than life, taking on the meaning of life its own. They can sometimes quietly be resentful if they feel like they have been taken advantage of, and they make it easy for more aggressive types to bully them around. Passive aggressiveness. So when they idealize the perfect relationship or the perfect friendship or any type of interpersonal relationship, whether it be platonic or romantic, they tend to have immediate expectations of what it should be. And because of this, they get let down a lot, and they do feel slighted and taken advantage of by others. This is when that hellish side of Libra comes out. A lot of people, you don't hear a lot of people talk shit about Libras, because Libra can do no wrong, right? Libra is just absolutely perfect. Well, you need to watch. Those are the ones you have to watch out for the most. Libra, I said it before, will fuck your ass up. They're patient, they're sweet, they're kind, they're humane. They're some of the nicest people that you will ever meet. But if you ever cross one, that's the worst mistake that you could ever do. Especially if they have been good to you. Oh yeah, you have problems up your sleeve. They will never forgive. They will never forgive you. People, please appreciate your Libra friends. If you have any Libra friends, make sure that you tell them thanks or do something nice. Show them some recognition, because they need it. They may not even be telling you that they need that recognition, but they do. Trust me, they do. Especially if they have Virgo in their chart. So pleasing a Venus in Libra involves treating them kindly and fairly. They love to share everything with you, so let them. An open book, Venus and Libra people. Foreplay for them can be mental. They love to communicate with you about the relationship. Sharing turns them on, and a tactless or uncouth behavior is a turn-off. A tactless or uncouth behavior could be a turn-off. Although they seem to put up with a lot, be fair with them. Over time, the imbalance in their relationship is sure to make them unhappy, and when it comes to this, they may try to even score in subtle, roundabout ways. So again, they can be very passive aggressiveness in relationships. People with Venus and Libra. Don't let it come to that. Don't let it get to that point, people. And you will be rewarded with a lover who puts themselves in your shoes and treats you exactly how they would want to be treated. She has a sextile going on between Venus and Mars. Mars in Cancer. I can't wait to get to this point because this is going to be, I think that the Mars in Cancer placement is the most insightful placement within Bullhorn's chart. We're going to be getting to that. We're going to be talking about what Mars in Cancer means. But when it relates to the Venus, there is 7 sextiles going on between her Venus and Mars. This means she is not a peaceful and calm lover, not peaceful and calm, but a passionate one with strong temperament. That debilitated Mars in Cancer is causing her to act out like that. She is demonstrative in love and usually fully enjoys healthy pleasures and life to the fullest. Let's get on to Mars. Mars in the sign of Cancer. Now, mind you, Mars, I'm going over each one of the planets because I know a lot of people don't know what planets in astrology means. They don't know anything about astrology. They just know, I'm a Virgo sun sign. So I'm a Virgo. You're talking about Virgo. We're talking about more than Virgo, baby. We're talking about every one of the signs. So Mars in Cancer, my oh my. First of all, Mars. I've said it before. Mars rules over our life force. It's our action. It's the fire within our souls. It's our driving force. Masculine energy. Mars rules over your libido. It rules over your sex drive. Got it? Good it. Get it? Good. Mars in Cancer. Mars. I'm going to say this too. Mars rules over the sign of Aries. It also rules over the sign of Scorpio. It co-rules over the sign of Scorpio. Aries rules over the positive side of Mars. Scorpio rules over the negative side of Mars. Okay, got it, get it, good. This position inclines towards passive aggressiveness. What I said before. Mars is debilitated in the sign of Cancer. It does not like to be in Cancer. Mars is a fiery planet. So when you take a watery sign, such as Cancer, which is ruled by emotions, it's the feminine energy, it represents your mother. It's a very watery planet, it rules over feelings, and Mars is not exactly about feelings. It may be passionate, like for example, any Aries that you meet or any Scorpio, most people find them intense because they're passionate about how they feel, the things that they believe in. But when you take Mars and put it in a watery sign of Cancer, it burns out, and it doesn't like to be in the sign of Cancer. It feels smothered. So what does Mars do? How does Mars and Cancer people react when confrontation comes to them? These people seem to resist change, and tend to shy away from direct confrontations. They need to feel secure before they react. As a result, they can appear rather slow at times. Their motto is the best offense is defense. The best defense is defense. They may appear weak to some, but they can be very strong. Their strength lies in their tenacity. Their sex drive can be very tied up with emotional need, with an emotional need. Mars and Cancer people can have tendencies or problems, as I should say, better put it, problems within the bedroom performing. And that's because they're tied up in their emotions. At their best, they turn others on with a protective, almost therapeutic way about them. The energy outward when they are being protectors of others. Turning it inwards is when there are problems. So whenever they're acting this way, Mars and Cancer people, they can be very good. They can be excellent parents. Usually Mars and Cancer people are protective to the death of their children and their family and also their home, because Cancer, the sign of Cancer, rules over the home. So they're very protective and they will fight over those things. Again, Mars and Cancer people, a lot of people view them as weak, but they are not weak. The problem is when they turn this inwards, they must avoid oversensitivity and self-protection when it comes to sex. So in other words, they need to be more vulnerable with their partners. They need to just try to have more fun in the bedroom. Stop being such a prune. Stop being so insecure about yourself, you know? And as soon as they're able to get over this, they can be excellent lovers. You know, they know how to hit the right spots, work that thing if they need to be. It's in them. They just need to know how to channel it. You know, that's what Mars and Cancer people, that's where they find their issues at. They get tied up in their feelings. And I'm not only talking about your sex life, I'm talking about anything. Anything. When there's a problem that arises, Mars and Cancer people, when confrontation comes knocking at their door, they need to watch out for being overly emotional. Because in the end, that can turn on them and it can be very self-sabotatory. These people are threatened by indifference. What does that mean? They can be argumentative and manipulative. Their energy levels are variable and they can appear to move rather slowly. They have defense reactions and bursts of emotional displays when they feel concerned. With reassurance and confidence, these natives are protective, helpful, and dependable in the long haul. They prefer to handle situations peacefully and humanely. Now, she has Bullhorn. She has 3 trines going on with her Mars and Cancer. So what are those 3 trines? I'm sorry, that thing has been up on the screen. So you can't see what Cafe Astrology was saying. So again, what can you take from Mars being in the sign of Cancer? These people tend to have emotional outbursts that sometimes make them look absolutely insane, in all honesty. Also, Mars and Cancer people needs to watch out for holding in and harboring bitterness, negative emotions, anger, you name it. They need to get all of that stuff out, because if it festers, then they can, and it has happened before with other serial killers and criminals, they can be serial killers. Mars and Cancer people can be violent, very violent, if pushed to that point. So they need to learn how to channel that anger in a healthy way, whether that means taking on the problem head on, facing it head on, biting the bullet, communicating in an effective, calm manner. That way your point it gets across to people, and they just don't, write you off as being a belligerent idiot that reacts emotionally to anything that is slighted towards them. Good ways to channel this energy with Mars and Cancer. First of all, cook. Mars and Cancer people, it's not all bad. Okay? It's not all bad. Mars and Cancer people can cook. They can throw that ass down in the kitchen. Like I said before, they make excellent parents when that energy is channeled in a healthy manner. And yes, there is a therapeutic energy towards them that makes people like them. People whenever they're around a Mars and Cancer, they feel safe. It's because of that motherly instinct, that parental instinct that all Mars and Cancers, or Cancers, doesn't matter if you're a Cancer moon, a Cancer sun sign, a Mars and Cancer, Mercury, it doesn't matter. If you have Cancer, the sign of Cancer in your chart, you can apply this too. Okay, I'm tired of talking in circles. Let's move on. 3 trines are happening with Mars, one of which is Uranus. Oh, what does this mean? Bullhorn Betty possesses an exceptional energy. She is impulsive but bold. She may take on risky enterprises for the good of the community. Wow. Okay, well, that's interesting. So, the planet of Uranus, ha ha ha. I think I talked about this before, but Uranus in astrology rules over rebellion, breakthroughs. It also rules over the sign of Aquarius. So Uranus can also represent the internet, technology, and also community. So let's read that again. She may take on risky enterprises for the good of the community. So my guess is that Bullhorn Betty, by her following these true crime cases, going out, doing what she does, to her, she's taken the bullet for the team. She creates the pathways, right? She's a very cardinal way to this community. She takes the lead, but it may be risky. As we see many of the shenanigans that she's pulled online, but it is for the good of the community. She feels like she is doing good. A lot of people, they're like, how does she honestly think that she is doing good to other people? Are you crazy, Bandit? Are you really saying that she thinks what she's doing is good? No, I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what astrology is saying. She thinks in her own mind, whether it's actually good or bad, she is benefiting the community by opening doors, enterprises for future people to follow in her footsteps. She will often pour tremendous energy into an endeavor. She's motivated. She pours a lot of time and energy into whatever she's talking about, whatever case she's following. She just throws herself into it. Tremendous time and energy spent on whatever she chooses to talk about. She has a great need for her independence. We've seen this before. We always see her talk about, no one can tell me what to do. This is a free country. This is the United States of America. I reserve my right to do whatever the hell I feel like. Yeah, that's where this is coming from. Insisting on her freedom of action. Very open to new methods and different ways of doing things. Progressive and courageous. An innovator. So that is the trine between Mars and Uranus. Long story short, Mars and Cancer, they're passionate about what they feel is right. What they feel is right. Now, what actually may be right could be something different, but what they feel, because Mars and Cancer likes to go by their feelings, right? Their feelings drive and form a lens over how they view the world. So watch out for that, Mars and Cancer. That can work for you or that can work against you. In this case, Bullhorn Betty, Andra, if you're ever watching this, I hope that, I don't know if you follow astrology. I don't know if you're into astrology. I don't know if you're into any of this stuff that I talk about here on my channel. But if you're not, then I hope that we can give you some insight about yourself today. So take notes. Moving on, let's go on to the planet of Jupiter. Jupiter, everyone's favorite benefic. Jupiter is currently in the sign of Leo in Bullhorn's chart at the time of her birth. So what does Jupiter in the sign of Leo mean? Well, we mentioned before that Jupiter likes to bring blessings. It also teaches lessons similar to Saturn. I like to compare the relationship between Saturn and Jupiter as good cop and bad cop. Jupiter is more of the good cop. Saturn is the bad cop. It is the Lord of Karma. It is the things that we, as mankind, don't like to do. Responsibilities, real shit, like real earthly shit. Jupiter, we're talking about Jupiter though. We're going to get to Saturn. We're talking about Jupiter. So Jupiter, what does that mean in Leo? She attracts the most good fortunes when she expresses her generosity with others, inspires confidence in those around her, conducts herself with dignity and sincerity, while also avoiding the pitfall of an excessive egotism. Let's read that again. Bullhorn Betty, with Jupiter being in Leo, attracts the most good fortunes when she expresses and is generous with others, inspires confidence in those around her, conducts herself with dignity and sincerity, while also avoiding the pitfall of an excessive egotism. What was I just talking about? Oh, the theme of having an ego keeps on coming up within your chart. Oh my God. prosperous areas are creative ones: entertainment, children. We see that Bullhorn Betty likes to talk about children, missing children, children that are victims of crime, and recreation. She takes pride in everything that she does. Generosity brings success. So, Jupiter and Leo. Long story short, you're going to get what you want, but you have to watch out for your ego, because as soon as your ego comes into play, that's going to be the main defense and blockage from keeping you getting what you want. Okay? So, main pitfall of an excessive egotism, that is the lesson with Jupiter being in the sign of Leo. Bullhorn Betty has a lot of Leo in her chart. Where did my... Okay, yeah. She has a lot of Leo in her chart. I've never looked at her chart up until now. So this explains her dramatics, her theatrics online. I should have known. Then again, I don't watch her channel a lot. I occasionally go over there, I tune in just to see what she's talking about, but I don't watch. I'm everywhere, baby. Like, I just creep, lurk, watch, observe. I don't even like to call it creeping. I'm just observing. Oh, wow. I'm not going to act like I don't go over to Bullhorn Betty and JLR's channel, because clearly I do. Now, do I watch them religiously? No. I watch them just enough for me to get an understanding of their behavior. And then I look up what is going on in their natal chart. And then we come over here on my channel and talk about it. Saturn. Oh, the Lord Saturn. Everyone's feared planet. Saturn represents a contrast in effort, contraction and effort. Saturn likes to constrict. It likes to minimize. It likes boundaries. Test lessons, and these lessons are not easy. Very earthly lessons that you're given in this lifetime. So what does Saturn in the sign of Virgo mean for Bullhorn Betty? She likes order, harmony, method, and balance. She can undertake long-term medical or scientific studies. Virgo, it is the sign of health. It is the sign of the human anatomy. Virgo, the part of the body that Virgo rules over, would be the large and small intestines, your digestive system as a whole. Virgo rules over. So people with Saturn in Virgo could have occupations being doctors, nurses, some type of medical field position, or studies, phlebotomists. Weaknesses. Okay, here we go. Can be intransigent, stubborn, misuse of medicines, and asking for too much medicine. Saturn in Virgo has to watch out for addiction, specifically addiction to pills, medical pills like pain pills, oxys, or any type of pill that can be Xannies. I mean, anything that can be abused and you can get at the pharmacy. You need to watch out for that. Saturn and Virgo. But let's get on to the stubbornness, right? Stubbornness. Some people's going to say that BHB being stubborn is an understatement. There's a battle with the ego going on here with Saturn being in the sign of Virgo. It's making 139 sextiles between Saturn and Uranus. Uranus, I keep on pulling this up because I want you guys to see it as we go along. Uranus is in Scorpio. Saturn is in the sign of Virgo. This creates that Bullhorn Betty knows how to be on top of the situation. She preserves and is determined, but ingenuous and original. So she is genuine and original when she wants to be. She is very practical. She proceeds slowly, but is always bound to achieve her objectives in the end. Negative 57 square between Saturn and Neptune. Living conditions can be difficult, or she struggles with expectations and can feel the need to very often draw clear boundaries between reality and dreams, and feel the need to be very often draw clear boundaries between dreams and reality. So, in other words, Neptune in astrology, it does rule over the irrational, the illogical. Neptune rules over the dreams, smoke and mirrors, right? It rules over Pisces. It is the traditional ruler of Pisces. Neptune is also the higher octave of Venus. Negative expressions of Neptune include incarceration, hospitalization, asylums, hospitals in general, isolation, ostracism, being ostracized, lonely. Neptune is one of the last planets, or one of the outer planets in the solar system. So whenever you think of Neptune, think of how, first, like, think of Neptune. Just think of Neptune. It's a gas giant. So illusion, smoke and mirrors, it's an illusion per se. It's unknown. The more you try to make sense of Neptune, the more difficult it's going to be to make sense of Neptune. That's how Neptune is. Anyways, there's a fight and a battle going on between reality and what she deems to be reality and her dreams. So whenever she's discussing these true crime cases and she gets into it, these missing children, what she's saying out of her mouth, she believes. So no, this is not an act for the people that's like, is she doing this for clout? Is she doing this for attention? Is she doing this for you fill in the blank? No, this is how she truly believes in her lies. She believes in her own lies. And if you want to relate it back to her natal chart, that's because there is negative 57 square between Saturn and Neptune. Two completely different opposite planets. Saturn rules over reality, the here and now, earthly, tangible, practical things, responsibility, how you show up in the world. Neptune rules over fantasy, dream world, smoke and mirrors, right? The irrational, things that don't make sense. The things that she is believing could or could not be true, but to her, it's true. I wonder how, and you know what? Another thing before we move on to Uranus, let's see, she's going to be 40. She's 40. So 28, 29, 30. She recently went through her Saturn return. So, as I said before in other podcasts, typically people experience 3 Saturn returns within their lifetime. What is a Saturn return? A Saturn return is basically when Saturn returns back to the exact point it was at the time of your birth. So, okay, Google, when is the next time that Saturn will be in Virgo? Let's see.
According to tarot.com, October 16th, 2036 to February 10th, 2037, Saturn spends roughly 29 years orbiting the Sun, spending about 2.5 years in each of the zodiac signs. It is the planet of limitation, discipline, and responsibility.
So her next Saturn return, she can expect this in 2036. That will be her second Saturn return. Her second Saturn return. Again, most people, they experience 3 within their lifetime, sometimes 4 if you live to be old enough. And but you would have to be like 100 years old. I'm not saying that that's not possible. There's a lot of people that live to be that long, but most people, let's just be honest and realistic, a lot of people don't live to be 100 years old. But then again, with how life expectancy is nowadays and people are living longer, given the next 20 or 30 years, who knows, we could live up to be 120 years old. But I digress. Bullhorn Betty, the next time that she can experience her Saturn return would be in 2036. Now, when was the last time Saturn was in Virgo?
According to Cafe Astrology, Saturn in Virgo, March 7th, 1951, to August 13th, 1951, November 16th, 1977, to January 4th, 1978, July 26th, 1978, to September 21st, 1980.
Wow. So the last time that Saturn was in Virgo was back on October 29th of 2009. The last time that Saturn was in Virgo. So Bullhorn Betty, I'm talking to you. You don't have to respond. I don't expect you to respond. But if you ever come across this video, I want you to think back at what was going on in your life September 2007 to October 2009. So from September 2007 to October 2009, think back at what was going on in your life. Again, Saturn, it brings on lessons, a lot of lessons. And that's why Saturn returns. We all have Saturn returns. They're meant to teach us something. So while Saturn is transiting other signs, it's a good time to reflect back on those lessons and get prepared. Look back on what was happening in the past, right? When Saturn was in that sign, what was going on in your life? How did you react? And what could you have done differently? Saturn spends roughly 2 years, two to 2.5 years approximately in each sign. And it takes roughly 30 years for it to return back to your exact, to the exact degree within your natal chart. So again, the next time that Saturn will be in Virgo would be 2036. Bullhorn Betty, once again, think back at what was happening back in 2007 to 2009. Was there any significant events, milestones, I don't know, anything that was taking place within your lifetime, Saturn was probably working that ass. Okay? And again, it's not easy lessons. Saturn can be cold, very cold. It doesn't give a fuck how you feel. But you know what? Saturn is not out to get people. It's not. It's not a planet that's just out to be devious and malicious. No, it wants you to learn these lessons so you can become better, a better person, wiser. That way, if the same shit comes up, you already know what to do. You're already prepared. You're like, hey, Saturn, we've already done this before. We've already been here before. Saturn's already taught me what to do. I got this. If you choose to work with Saturn, now if you choose to do the opposite and go against Saturn, then you're just going to make your life hell, because Saturn does not back down. Saturn will fuck your ass up. I know it's kind of off topic, but mind you, with the Idaho 4, I've done this whenever we looked at Brian Koberger's natal chart. We pulled up his natal chart. Guess what? Around the same time as the Idaho slayings, the Idaho 4 slayings, out there in Moscow, Idaho, Brian Koberger was going through his Saturn return. Now you see how Saturn can go either way. It can go really good or really bad, but it's up to you how it's going to go. In Mr. Koberger's case, I'm just using him as an example. I mean, look what happened. Now, did Saturn make him do that? No. Mr. Koberger did that. Y'all are missing the point. There's deeper lessons with what he did by killing these kids. I digress. Saturn. When Saturn comes back around, get prepared. Get your shit in order if you want to make it easier on yourself. Okay, enough about Saturn. I think you guys already know enough about Saturn. We've already spent enough time on that. Let's move on. We're about done. Uranus is in Scorpio. Uranus represents individuality, liberty, egotistic liberty, rebellion, breakthroughs. That is the planet of Uranus. Uranus also rules over technology, unconventional ways of doing things, very mental energy. Got it? Get it? Good. So what does Uranus in Scorpio mean? Intelligent and subtle. Usually he adores or she adores research, inquiry, and investigation. So Uranus and Scorpio in Bullhorn's chart could be driving her motivation to get into true crime because she likes to investigate. She likes to investigate. She likes to get down to the nitty gritty, the deeper meaning of things, because Scorpio doesn't like shallowness. Scorpio likes to go deep. What's beneath the surface? What is going on, right? They like to dig deeper. Very sensual. May want to explore new ways to connect with others. And then, of course, Neptune. Neptune represents what we just discussed. Liberty, it's smoke and mirrors. Neptune and Sagittarius. Now, mind you, Neptune, Saturn, not Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are outer planets, outer generational planets in astrology, which means there's a large collective of people that all share the same either Saturn sign, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto. Those are the 4 generational planets. They're called generational planets because it takes these planets literally 20 plus years, sometimes 10, 20. It's a long time for them to just complete one transit through a zodiac sign. So, for example, okay, Google, when was the last time Neptune was in Sagittarius?
According to literary works of Sanderson Beck, Neptune was in Sagittarius from 1970 until 1984, inspiring visionary imagination, mysticism in religion and philosophy, illusions and deception in world affairs, and politicians concerned about drugs.
So it spent 14 years in one sign. Neptune, I don't want to, maybe not Saturn, but definitely Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These are the generational planets that spend years within just one sign. So you just heard Google say that the last time that Neptune was in Sagittarius was from 1970 until 1984. It inspired visionary imagination, mysticism in religion, philosophy, illusions, deception in the world affairs, and politicians concerned about drugs. Now, with it being in Sagittarius, it talks about enjoying long voyages, trips. We see that Bullhorn Betty likes to take a lot of trips. She likes to travel, things that are foreign. I'm curious to know if Bullhorn Betty's has ever traveled abroad. She's ever left the country. She's ever been to Europe or any other place in the world. I'm just curious. It's just a question. Being close to water, she lives in Florida, Bradenton to be exact. Being close to water, she is broad, spiritual vision, humane, and spiritual. So there is 56 sextiles between Neptune and Pluto within her natal chart. She is perceptive and able to see layers to a situation. She is naturally drawn to learning and what makes herself and others tick. She likes to know things about people. A good psychologist or study psychology. I wonder if she's ever studied psychology or studied, human arts in college. I don't know. Just a question. And last but not least, Pluto. Pluto in astrology represents transformations, mutations, and elimination. Pluto is the god of the underworld in astrology. It rules over the underworld, hell, right? Very dark, very powerful, transformative energy that Pluto brings within your life. And this is not just something that's quick. It's like peeling back an onion layer by layer, and eventually getting to the core of what is going on. It is a processes. Whenever you are working with Pluto in your natal chart, the energy that Pluto brings is long lasting. It's not temporary, it is permanent. Now, it may take a long time to go through any type of transformation when you're talking about Pluto, because Pluto, kind of like Saturn, that also brings transformations, but Pluto does about it in a different way. It takes a long time. So what does Pluto in Libra mean? She may look for new ways to relate to others. There is a need to relate to others, an urgency to connect with other people who have the same viewpoints, that think the same way she does. Again, she wants to know more about people. She wants to know what makes people tick. makes people behave the way they do. Whether she actually admits any of this or not is up for debate. Chances are she probably knows what I'm saying or what, all things I'm talking about right now. Some of it may hit home for her. That's fine, and I hope it does. She may not admit it. She doesn't have to, and nor am I expecting her to. But again, it's just a good way to learn more about herself instead of other people, right? Now, Black Moon Lilith, one of my favorite and one of the interesting placements in astrology, in my opinion. The most interesting place in astrology is Black Moon Lilith. Black Moon Lilith in astrology represents our darker, deeper natures that may be repressed or buried, suppressed or buried. So what is your deepest, darkest desires, Betty? Your Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo. We have the same Black Moon Lilith. My Lilith is in Virgo too. She may have felt uncomfortable or wrong for paying special attention to the practical side of life, attention to details, organization, and routines. She may go to pains to prove she is not ordinary, worried, eager to please, or concerned about the details enough to perfect a craft or project. Squirrel! Get out of here. Scat! Scat! Cat! You better scat! The little bastard ran over there in the tree. These squirrels down here are bold. Oh my God. A Florida tree rat. It's a Florida tree rat. Some people like to call it. They're not squirrels. The Florida tree rats. Leaving many projects unfinished can be a sign of perfectionist expectations, since this way she does not have a deal with to prospect of not producing. So basically she does not anything that Bullhorn Betty does that she puts out, she needs to be perfect at, or at least her version of perfect, right? She is a perfectionist to a flaw, and sometimes that can hinder progress. She may leave a lot of projects unfinished or half-assed. Can be a sign of a perfectionist. Expectations in this way may not land. The key is to eliminate the extreme behaviors on self-acceptance. So accept that not even you, and this is what all Virgos, myself included, because I'm a Virgo moon and I'm a Virgo Mercury. All Virgos struggle with this lesson. It doesn't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect. I know it's so fucking hard. I know I want it to be perfect. I just baked this glorious cake, this wedding cake. It's delicious. It's decorated right to a T. But guess what? Oh, you know what? What I see? Oh my God. That flower is just a little off-putting in that birthday cake or wedding cake, right? The flower is just off by 2 milli-inches. Oh, you know what? It's trash. Let's start all over. Let's throw the damn thing away. I have to bake the cake again. All because the damn flower was that much off. I'm just using an example. Now, that's a very dramatic example, right? But you get the point. You see how it can hinder any progress or be counterproductive, really, because you're so focused on shit being perfect and shit turning out the way that you think it should be, instead of just doing it and putting it out. And I'm not saying that details are not important. They are important. Details, I pay attention to details. but that's not the bigger picture. Details are not always the bigger picture. The majority of people that don't have Virgo in their chart, maybe you on the other side of the screen, if you're a Virgo watching this, me and you may notice certain little things that are off or does not make any sense or that we find wrong that other people may not notice. They're like, what's the issue? There's nothing wrong with this. Oh, yes, it is. It's not the way that I want it to be. That's what Virgo's problem is. What are you talking about? I don't see anything wrong with it. No, it's not what I want it to be. So therefore, it's trash and it must be destroyed. I need to start all over. What are you talking about? You're crazy, Virgo. I know. But it's not how I wanted it. It's not perfect in my eyes. It may be perfect in your eyes, but it's not how I want it. That's the problem that most Virgos run into. Finally, and then we can wrap this video up. By the way, thank you for tuning in if you have tuned in this morning, or for the people watching on the replay. The majority of people are probably at work or listening in the background, so if you're not talking, then once again, good morning. Buenos dias. Make sure to like the video or dislike the video. I don't care what you do. The South and North Note. I've touched on this before. The North Note is where your soul is heading, where it wants to head. The South Note is where it's been and where it's came from. It's the lessons. The South Note are the lessons you've already mastered. The North Note are the lessons that your soul is learning to master within this lifetime. And some people may never reach their North Note. And that's okay. If you don't reach your North Note, there's a lot of people that don't reach your North Note. It's not an easy task. And it takes a lifetime. And if you believe in reincarnation, it could take many different lifetimes to reach your true note or your North Note. So in Bullhorn's North Note, she also has Virgo. There's a lot of Virgo, like I said, going on within her chart. Her challenge is to live a more orderly, proactive, and practical life. Developing and following healthy and practical routines and schedules can be a challenge, but highly rewarding. Procrastination leaves Bullhorn Betty more vulnerable to vague worries and guilt. Qualities to develop include organization, promptness, and attention to detail. And as far as the houses and the degrees, I don't know much about that because I don't have her time of birth. But if anybody knows her time of birth, then you can go over to cafeastrology.com and type in this information for yourself. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts, your opinions on today's topic and today's discussion on Bullhorn. I can't speak. Bullhorn Betty and her natal chart analysis. I don't know if I broke it down or explained it well. I hope I did. But yeah, hopefully you can get a better understanding on what's going on. What makes her tick the way she does? What makes her behave the way that she does, right? With Bullhorn Betty. I would like to thank everybody that has tuned in this morning. Once again, hit the dislike or like button on your way out, and thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode of Written in the Stars. Have a good day.